Dear Diary, things have been up and down here at Cardiff since that first loss of the season versus Arsenal. We got back on track with 1-0 wins in the EFL Cup over West Brom and in the Prem over Norwich, before Aston Villa beat us at home by the same scoreline, albeit Marco Brum was out for that game as well as Enes Sully. I thought it might be a good idea off the back of those performances to get our player roles more suited to our new style, and it worked well when beating Wolves away 2-0. That means we are 6th in the league before taking on Tottenham and Everton in our next two games, and that split by EFL Cup 4th round tie against Liverpool. Meanwhile, our new signing is proving to be an interesting personality here at Cardiff. Goran Jovic really loves the nightlife here, as he has now been fined 3 times since the Arsenal game for having a big old bender. He even missed the Norwich game on one occasion. He seems to have sorted himself out recently, but how long can we keep the Serbian party animal under control? Until next time. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 70 of FMOE here on Shaun Does FM with Cardiff City. I hope you are doing well, and coming up today we play 2 games in the Premier League. First off we host Tottenham Hotspur, and then off the back of an EFL Cup clash where we take on current Premier League leaders in Liverpool. We will then travel to take on Everton, of course last season's FA Cup winners. So if you are looking forward to those 2 games in today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated, but hopefully that intro caught you guys up on what we have been doing off the back of our last episode, where we did take on Brentford and Arsenal, also both in the Premier League. If you missed that episode, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. For the most part, our form has been pretty good, just that one frustrating defeat at home to Aston Villa, and to be fair, our 2 performances before then, while we did pick up wins, not overly convincing. So off the back of that, we did change those player roles to pretty much what they would usually be for a vertical tiki-taka system, instead of what we were doing previously, and matching them best up with what does suit the players in our first choice 11. And thankfully, off the back of that, we did perform a little bit better in our most recent outing, where we did beat Wolves by a scoreline of 2-0. Ignore that friendly over Dundee United. That was to keep some rotation players fresh during an international break, so it does mean currently in 6th on the Premier League table, so in a good spot, and hopefully we can finish off this month strong either side of that tough EFL Cup 4th round clash against Liverpool, where I'm probably going to play a rotated team because I already think we have achieved the board's objectives in that competition. So definitely focusing on the Premier League yet again this season. So in a good spot on that Premier League table, as we are about to take on Tottenham down in 13th and Everton all the way up in 5th, certainly doing a lot better than they were a couple of years ago when they were in the Premier League. Of course, this is the first time that we have actually played Everton in the Premier League, but a few other things to discuss before we do get into that first game of today's episode. First off, didn't actually put it in the intro, but we have got a new contract here at Cardiff City. We've got a little bit of a wage rise up to £25,000 a week, and we are now under contract through until the end of the 2031-32 season. So a bit more stability for us here at Cardiff City now, albeit right off the back of that happening, some interesting stuff did start to happen with Goran Jovic. As you would have heard through the intro, he has now missed training 3 straight days, and one of those days was actually a match day as well. So he did miss a game where we did take on Norwich. Thankfully, Carlos Dominguez just slotted straight in for him, and we did pick up a 1-0 win, but still not ideal, albeit one of those latter ones did actually come on back-to-back days, and the second one was during that international breaks. Not too sure why that was forwarded to me, because obviously he was on Serbian duty at that time, but it does look like he is a bit of a party animal, is enjoying the nightlife here in Cardiff a little bit too much. Must be a bit of a ladies' man out and about town. We might keep an eye out on what Goran Jovic is doing over the rest of this season, because it certainly appears like he might be a player who does just go missing a little bit in terms of training and might let us down occasionally, albeit the way he's been performing on the field, we might just have to put up with that because he certainly had a good start to life here at Cardiff City. Not exactly sure why he would be wanting to skip training. There is a little thing there where he has reacted badly to the collective win bonus, albeit it's just a normal win bonus for both the Cup and the League competitions this season. So not too sure why he would have reacted badly to that when he has only just joined us here at Cardiff City, but a bit weird there. Goran Jovic just skipping training a few days and one match day because he does like to have a long, hard night out on the town. No doubt the Welsh ladies not minding that one little bit. But first up today, we do take on Tottenham. Of course, these days managed by Ruud van Nistelrooy off the back of him jumping ship from Manchester United before the start of the season, albeit to be fair, might not have been the worst idea that because Manchester United are currently bottom of the Premier League table, but there you can see a decent start for them in the Champions League anyway, and also in quite a good run of form in the Prem as they do head into this one, just that loss to Liverpool as expected, as they have been the form team to start off this season, but still some quite recognisable names in that Tottenham Hotspur team. Harry Kane and Heung-min Son and Ruud van Nistelrooy does have them playing a 4-3-3. Hopefully we can pick up a win against Tottenham, because so far, as you can see in the data hub, we have failed to do that. So hopefully maybe that change of manager might just give us a little bit of an opening, especially off the back of adjusting those player roles. Maybe that's going to help us kick into gear with this vertical tiki-taka style. And in terms of our squad going into this one, unfortunately we do have a few injuries and suspensions that we are having to deal with. That's why you can see a few players there being picked a little bit out of position, in particular Carlos Dominguez. That is because Enes Sully is back from injury, but only recommended for 45 minutes a match, so he might get some game time off the bench during today's episode, but we are going to just ease him back from that injury he did suffer in yesterday's episode. Also, Luca Orellano, the backup to Sully, has picked up an injury. He's going to be out for a little bit longer, and as well as that, we've got some injuries to some of our fringe players, but also Blaine Quezada picked up a yellow card in that most recent win over Wolves, so he has picked up another suspension, so we'll be missing for this first game of today's episode. So that does mean, as well as Dominguez on the left wing, Davison Savino will start in that defensive midfield role now instead of a ball-winning midfielder. Hopefully that does mean that Quezada might just pick up a few less yellow cards, but apart from that, we are at full strength going into this one and hopefully can continue a bit of a mini resurgence off the back of those losses to Arsenal and Aston Villa, and we'll come back shortly with the team sheets from Cardiff City Stadium as we take on Spurs. And here are the team sheets for this first game of today's episode as we ran through before. Dominguez out left and Servino in the defensive midfield. Also a few changes on the bench thanks to those suspensions and injuries. And there are Tottenham Hotspur come to this one in quite good form, albeit still look quite similar to the team that we did take on last season, albeit as you saw, we don't have a good record against these guys. Hopefully at home we can turn that around and continue to rise back up that Premier League table. And it's taken a quarter of an hour, but we do have the first highlight in this one. It is a corner to Tottenham Hotspur, but Mixado comes out nicely and does claim that these days a sweeper keeper on support. We haven't played a sweeper keeper since we were at Linfield, I believe, but to be fair, at a much higher level now, so hopefully our goalkeepers don't make as many mistakes as they were making back in those days. And Dominguez there does give the ball away, so now Tottenham will get a chance to do something on somewhat the counter-attack. And they do have a dangerous attacking unit as well. Heung-min Son just jogs his way inside the box. Thankfully his shot a little bit weak. Mixado makes the save and keeps it at 0-0. And that was it for the first half. Just that one highlight, a good chance there for Heung-min Son, but thankfully not the best shot on goal. And apart from that, as you can tell by the stats, Tottenham well and truly on top in this one, especially in terms of the shots. But thankfully we have found a way to keep this at 0-0. But we are going to make a few changes here at halftime. As you can see, a few players out there are on yellow cards and also some average ratings. So Sully will come on at halftime, but for Jovic, and that means that Dominguez can go outright. Also, we do have Savino on a yellow card. So Abdullah Bar, formerly of Southampton, will come on for him, and also Ruben Colwill for Farias on a 6.5, but those will be our changes at halftime. and hopefully we can do a bit more here in the second half, still locked up at 0. And it's taken 20 minutes into the second half for our second highlight of this game, and a good chance here for us to do something on the counter-attack down that right-hand side, albeit Blun tripped up inside the box there from Jalabah, and that should be a stone-cold penalty. Not too sure if he would have actually got to that ball before the Tottenham goalkeeper, but we won't find out because I think that is a stone-cold penalty, albeit he is going over to the little screen to make sure that it was one. Not too sure actually who would take this penalty because, of course, we did just take Farias off, but indeed it is a penalty as suspected, so we're going to have to wait a little while for the referee to run over and then point to the spot. That was completely wasteful, but it does look like it might be El Bloshy from the spot here, and hopefully can put us up for what would be a big 3 points if we can hold on. He beats the goalkeeper even though he does go the right way. It's his first goal of the season, of course, these days not on free kicks when Jovic is starting, and despite the fact we've done very little attacking-wise so far in this game, Tottenham give away a penalty and we make it 1-0. And nearly 10 minutes off the back of that penalty, we are going to make our last few substitutions. At this time, a few players out there down to red hearts. Also, Dominguez, one of those, has picked up a yellow card as well. So we are quite light on wing options on the bench. So in terms of left back, Goodmanson will actually bring on the Akate, because with those attributes, he should be quite well suited to that left back role. Also a bit taller and more experienced than our other option in Jordan Rooney, and Hurtado can come on for Dominguez, and we'll put Sully out to the right-hand side for these last 15 minutes or so, still holding that 1-0 lead. And nearly inside the last 5 minutes of this game was just debating if we should start to go a bit more cautious and also go to a mid-defensive line, a standard one, to see if that might just hold out Tottenham. But to be fair, we are on the attack here. That was a good chance for Ruben Colwill to put us 2-0 up, but one of the Tottenham defenders there with a very good block. So we keep it at 1-0 here with only a few minutes left. El Bloshy will take his time over this one. Ola VM has picked up a late yellow card. Hopefully that does not prove too costly. And off the back of that corner, we will drop back to cautious. And we are now still on the attack, albeit we give that ball away to Højbjerg. And with just about 3 minutes left, I think it is time for us to drop back to that standard defensive line. As we were mentioning during that highlight also, we might slow the pace down in distribution from our goalkeeper as well. And hopefully that will be enough for us here to stem any highlights and make sure that we do hold on, albeit a free kick here for Tottenham Hotspur inside the last minute of regular time. But they give that one away to Marco Brun. Good chance there for Bar, but unfortunately straight into the path of Costa. Still 1-0, but we're getting some good chances here in the second half. And now we do have a corner to hopefully seal this result inside injury time. Only 3 more minutes of it, as El Bloshy does take his time over this corner off the back of that goal. He did score from the penalty spot, but Illich will head that one away. Colwill with a chance. McGuinness with a chance from the rebound. A decent save there from Costa, but he was offside. And now that we do enter the last few minutes of this one, we might also time waste frequently as well, because we weren't actually doing that. Probably something we should have done. And also, before we do click continue, we will also be more disciplined instead of be more expressive. And hopefully that will be all the highlights in this one. And indeed it is the case. All it took was Ruud van Nistelrooy to leave Man United and go to Tottenham. And we've finally picked up a win over them. As you can see at full time, that was actually quite an even game. So we definitely had the better of that second half with those changes that we did make. And thankfully, that penalty given away from Jalabah is the difference, as we do pick up a 1-0 win apart from that penalty. Quite an even game, but obviously that boosted up our XG quite significantly, and it does mean that we pick up a 1-0 win. Arguably could have won that by more according to the XG graph, because off the back of that penalty, quite a few good chances as well. But that is a nice win for us, and it puts us inside the top 4 for now, albeit still quite early days, but still a good position for a team expected yet again to be down in that relegation zone. And maybe we've sorted out the vertical tiki-taka now off the back of those rough results against the likes of Aston Villa since yesterday's episode, but that is a very good result there against a team like Tottenham Hotspur. And as you can see, that is a nice buffer now over some of those teams in the relegation zone, including the likes of Brentford, the Conference League champions, and Manchester United, so they might be on the hunt for a new manager soon yet again, but we'll come back shortly and show you guys highlights from that EFL Cup 4th round tie as we take on Liverpool before we preview our second game of today's episode as we take on currently 7th placed Everton. And here are the highlights from that EFL Cup 4th round clash at Anfield. Unfortunately got off to a terrible start in this one. Hughes not doing well there, trying to clear the ball. In fact, before that, we had a few good chances to deal with that danger. We didn't, and we went 1-0 down early though off the back of that. Piatti there with a good interception, and Hurtado put that one away to give us an equaliser at the 20-minute mark, but unfortunately, as you can see, in that top left corner, we did end up losing this one early in the second half. Nice ball there, and yet again, Beljo puts that one away. He is a pretty good striker in the save universe. A little bit surprised that Liverpool did put him out in the EFL Cup game, as apart from that, it was quite a rotated team for them, albeit exactly the same for us, apart from the fact that we did give Quezada a run in that game after missing that previous one in the Premier League. But unfortunately, we do suffer a 2-1 defeat, albeit despite being on the back foot for most of that game, we did keep it fairly close. So again, encouraging result against a team who are currently near the top of the Premier League, but it does mean that we do go out of the Carabao Cup, albeit as expected, with a 2-1 defeat, but it does mean now we can switch our focus until FA Cup time on the Premier League. And next up for us, we stay in Merseyside to take on Everton on a Sunday afternoon. These days, Mikel Arteta is in charge of them yet again. Still some quite familiar names from current times in that Everton team, including their captain in Jordan Pickford. Of course, these guys did get promoted from the Championship last season, but are also in Europe because they did beat us to Europe thanks to picking up that win in the FA Cup. That was the only reason that we did not end up in a Conference League qualifier this season. So hopefully we get some revenge on those guys, not only for that, but also the fact that they somehow got Marko Stamenic from under our noses in this past transfer window. Absolute traitor thing to do there from a fellow New Zealander. And in terms of injuries going into this one, a few players have recovered, but not much will change from that previous game. But again, a few more changes will be made to the bench, but we'll come back shortly with the team sheets from the Bramley-Moore Dock Stadium as we take on Everton in the Premier League and hopefully continue our surge up the table in that competition. And here are the team sheets for the second game of today's episode. First up are Everton. As you can see, in a really good pitch of form at the moment, and also they are starting Marko Stamenic alongside Berg in the midfield there. We are, as you can see, a bit more mixed, but in terms of our starting 11, Quezada does come back in for Savino. Also Ruben Colwill, a little bit of an injury, so Gordon comes onto the bench for him. But apart from that, very similar to our previous game, and hopefully we can continue our winning ways in the Premier League. And it's taken nearly 20 minutes for the first highlight in this one. Of course, with us being away from home against a team like Everton today, we are in our grey and black uniform. Everton in the usual Cardiff colours. I've pinched those as well as Marko Stamenic, but some good short passing here early. Dominguez with a good chance. Jordan Pickford comes out for it. Doesn't quite get there. Takes a big deflection from an Everton defender, but still makes its way over the line. And Carlos Dominguez still out on that left wing thanks to those injuries to both Sully, who's his back these days, but only recommended for those 45 minutes, and also the likes of Orellano as well. He gets a chance and just bundles that one over the line and gives us a fairly early 1-0 lead. And up to the half-hour mark, we get our next highlight in this one, and yet again, it looks like we might be on the attack here. A nice ball out to the goal scorer in Dominguez. There's a good chance here on a run. Tries to curve that one. Bottom right corner, just puts it wide, but it does look like Dominguez on a good one today. Still 1-0 with 10 minutes left in this first half. And that is half-time in the second game of today's episode. We do take a 1-0 lead into the sheds off the back of that goal to Dominguez from that first highlight. Also a decent chance not too long off the back of that, but certainly so far the player who is making a difference alongside Goodmanson down that left-hand side. And to be fair, completely different from that first half in that Tottenham game. This time we are well and truly on the front foot. Everton are getting some shots off, but obviously not too threatening. Based on the XG, we're going to make a change at halftime. The party animal, Jovic, not playing too well. Sully will come on for him, and Dominguez can go outright, but pretty happy with how this is going at the moment, and hopefully we can continue to get one over Marko Stamenic and hold on to this 1-0 lead. And very shortly off the back of the restart, we get an early highlight here in the second half, and Garnacho, formerly of Manchester United, does start to get Everton here on the attack. Sousa with a good chance, takes a deflection there from one of our defenders, but thankfully Mexado able to read that one, so we do keep it at 1-0 early in the second half. And only a few minutes off the back of that early chance for Everton, now down the other end for a free kick. Vaughan puts that towards the far post, and unfortunately no one's there to bundle that over the line. A good clearance there from one of the Everton players on the line, albeit we might still get a chance here from this corner, which El Bloshy hopefully will put towards the far post. He does, but we don't quite win it, albeit Falius does tidy that up, but it still remains 1-0 as we come up towards the hour mark. And with 20 minutes to go in this one, we're going to make our next batch of substitutions. A few players now are down to red hearts. We do have Goodmanson and Dominguez. Might struggle to make a substitution for the latter of those players. It's the one downside to having Dominguez starting out on the left, but yet again, Niakate will come on for Goodmanson, and this time we do have Luca Orellano on the bench, so that's actually a bit of an upgrade on what we did have previously in Hurtado for a bench option anyway, so he will come on for Dominguez, and we might just leave him out on the right wing so he can play left, seeing as that is his usual position, and hopefully we hold on here for another 3 points, still 1-0 up. And just inside the last 10 minutes of this one, it is a highlight starting with a goal kick to Everton. This is feeling quite similar to that previous match against Tottenham, where maybe we should have gone cautious just a bit earlier than I was expecting, albeit good work there from Niakate on a yellow card, and Inasali gives us a good chance here on the counter-attack. Can he find Marco Blun? Plays it back to Niakate, will unleash one, and to be fair, forces a very good save there out of Jordan Pickford, and off the back of that we might just go to a cautious mentality before this corner does take place. Now Bloshy will hopefully put this in yet again towards that far post, and maybe we can grab a cushion goal. He floats this one in, but unfortunately no one does win that, and we do clear that one back out to El Bloshy, and there is a foul on him, so thankfully we will get a chance here to continue to pull the pressure on Everton. And right off the back of that highlight, another one is about to start, but I think it's time for us to make our last substitution. Gordon will come on for Falius with only a few minutes left, down to a red heart and on a 6.4 rating. And off the back of that change, we'll get back into this highlight. We might change a few things off the back of this, but don't think any of those changes would have had an impact on this highlight anyway, so we may as well wait. And Berg now is on the ball, plays that one out for Lalo, and he will find Garnacho. Dangerous area here. Good effort that from Dembele, but a big save that from Mexado, and now Marco Brun might get a chance down the other end, albeit on very tired legs. Now, unfortunately, one of the Everton players there does get in the way, and this highlight will continue, but thankfully McGuinness does win that one in the air, plays it all the way back to Mexado, and now is the time for us to start to slow things down and also go to that standard defensive line and slow our goalkeeper distribution down, as well as be more disciplined and time waste a little bit. So exactly what we did do in that previous game against Tottenham, and hopefully this time there are no late highlights in their favour, but we have a late corner, and it is Marco Blun who gets his head on the end of that. Was expecting one of our centre-backs to score, but in the end it is the striker who is absolutely knackered, but puts that one away, and that should be the cushion goal, which makes sure that we do pick up all 3 points. Somehow out jumps the Everton defence there, and that will give us that cushion goal. And overall, it's been a very good performance so far, and we have a 2-0 lead here against a team who are in the Europa League this season, albeit they are now back on the attack. And we'll get a late chance here, but thankfully they put that one well over the bar, and I think this highlight now is going to be a complete waste of time, and we'll just finish off the game, but we are going to pick up 3 points yet again. So it certainly looks like those changes we did make to our vertical tiki-taka off the back, or going into that Wolves game I should say, have made a difference, and thankfully it was the case. The game knowing better than what I thought might be the case, with it just suiting our player roles potentially a bit more, but we've changed it back to what the game would suggest for a vertical tiki-taka, and it does seem to be working just that little bit better, and we pick up another 3 points in the Premier League. So that is a very good episode today, despite the fact that we did lose that EFL Cup 4th round clash against Liverpool, but not too worried about that. we will focus for the first half of the season on the Premier League, and that is a good win, 2-0 over Everton, even though they were certainly in that game, but in the end, not many good chances. Also, Mexado did come up with some good saves and a few decent blocks in there as well from our defenders. And as you can see, now in a very nice patch of form and up to third on the Premier League table. And we still haven't got a player back like Enes Sully. He is only starting from the bench, so certainly still some room for improvement there for us. But now we are right in the hunt, only 3 points behind Liverpool, on top of the Premier League table off the back of those wins in today's episode, capped off with that one 2-0 away against Everton. And we are back in the inbox off the back of those two games in today's episode, as well as that one in the EFL Cup, where unfortunately we did get knocked out, but very good results here for us in the Premier League, and certainly think we have started to nail down this vertical tiki-taka tactic now that we have had a little bit of gameplay against some serious teams, and Mikel Arteta is amazed that Everton failed to win. What a absolute sook. All the highlights for the most part were in our favour, so not too sure if he can complain too much about that one. We might give him something back off camera in the post-match interview, but that will do it for today's episode. As I said, 2 good wins in the Premier League, so if you enjoyed those, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. Hopefully Jovic does not go on too much of a bender off the back of 2 straight wins in the Premier League, but hopefully he will be available when we come back for tomorrow's episode. We're starting to get some quite good games coming up against some of the bigger teams in the Premier League over the month of November. And I think what we might do is we might show you guys the games against 2 of those teams who are struggling just a little bit, albeit both of those games are away from home, so we'll come back for our very next game, as I said, hopefully still with Jovic available, as we do take on Chelsea, currently down in 11th, and then off the back of hosting Stoke, which should be a game that we are capable of winning, we will come back and maybe try and get the new Manchester United manager sacked, as they are currently in 20th, and we take them on from Old Trafford. Hopefully we can pick up our first win there in the save universe, and there might also be some interesting stuff going on in the job market as well, I would anticipate, if some results for some of these teams do continue, in particular Manchester United all the way down in 20th, and also Brentford in 18th. I think their manager is under a bit of pressure as well, so those could be 2 jobs which do become available, albeit not too sure even off the back of a Conference League win if Brentford would interest us. But Manchester United, they didn't come after us last time, might be interesting if they do this time, seeing as they are all of a sudden in a real world of hurt down there at the bottom of the table, albeit still early days in the season. No doubt they'll find a way to get out of that relegation zone, but certainly could be some interesting stuff coming up in and around those games in tomorrow's episode. So until then, thank you very much for watching, keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.